Doctor, look!
Stand aside, nurse. I'm Dr. Homebrew.
What's happening, everybody? This is Dr. Homebrew, and I don't care. I don't care about anything today. It sucks. Everything sucks and it's terrible.
Don't hold back, Jason. How do you really feel?
Yeah, I just told you, Brian. Don't play your boomer mind games with me, Brian.
You're like
I'm not quite a boomer. I'm like one of those guys that's nothing. I'm kind of too young to be a boomer, but I'm too old to be... What is next? Like a Gen Xer or something? I'm just in some no man's land of just nothing. I'm some guy.
Well, I mean, you're also not wrong, I guess. You know. Anyway.
JP's all bitter, like, no, I don't care.
I'm just tired and angry. I just don't want to be here.
Did you lose your magic nose goblins?
No. What do you want, Bev?
Fix Brian's camera.
Uh-oh, am I...
pointing at his boobs.
I probably bumped it.
Oh.
His boobs or
like
my
that?
boobs?
His boobs.
Oh, okay.
Like that?
That's good, yeah.
There you go.
I'm glad we didn't do this before the show.
Sorry.
Yeah. I don't care. This
Obviously you do.
episode of... You know what? This episode of Dr. Homebrew has been brought to you by 5-Star. You can go to 5starchemicals.com and learn all the different ways to care about your homebrew. Not like me, who doesn't care about his homebrew. But I still use PBW, oddly enough, just for odd cleaning jobs around the house. So that stuff is powerful good. Yeah, I love it. So thanks to the people at 5-Star. Really appreciate it. Here's a heads up for Dr. Homebrew people. At some point this week, well, this isn't going to even be released until for like another month, so maybe it doesn't matter.
For those of you listening live.
It doesn't matter anymore. Never mind. We're going to be doing some Bells giveaways. Let's just pretend that like we have 100,000 live listeners. We're going to do a Bells giveaway. We're going to do 4 Bells giveaways.
What? We're doing 4 Bells giveaways?
Yeah, for doing the more homebrew kits. And so people on social media can enter to win homebrew kits, and then they're going to send the beers in to us. So at some point between May and August, we're going to have specifically 4 beers from the lovely people at Bell's to sample. So
I like what those Bell's guys are doing. They're doing some...
Yeah.
That's going to be rad.
Yeah, it'll be fun. What are you doing, Brian?
Well, this glass had a little dust in it, so I'm rinsing it out for my friend Don, who's in the studio with us here.
Yeah, but you're pouring it back into the bottle?
Yeah.
From the glass?
Well, usually, we have like rinse buckets here and stuff, but Bevo's slacking tonight, so, but it's okay. I'm making do.
I mean, Brian, I'm not really one to talk, but you are a deeply weird man.
That was the next step you did.
Yeah.
I didn't ask it. It should be said I didn't ask her for anything, so yeah.
No one ever does.
But
and she delivers nothing.
Look at that.
Let me tell you.
Perfectly rinsed glass with no more dust in it.
Yeah, you did good, Brian. You did you did good. Speaking of good, Brian, what do we got on the show today, bud?
We have a Vienna Lager and a Vienna Lager.
Oh, I love that. Vienna Lagers, baby. I'm all about them.
Yeah.
They're good stuff. Okay. Well, I don't know. I guess let's just get the first guy on the phone. I'm so
For future dust.
out of it today. Thanks,
Loves me
Bev.
after all.
All right, let's talk to, what is it, Rich? Do I have Rich's information?
He's been a repeat offender.
Yeah, I just don't have it in front of me. I need a producer.
All right.
There we go.
So, why are you in such a negative mood tonight, JP?
I'm tired, dude. I'm exhausted. I tried to take a 15-minute cat nap before driving out here. I'm just tired. I don't sleep well. I've been up at 4:30 every morning for like weeks, and I don't know why. My cat wakes me up in between the time I go to bed and the time I wake up, so I've just interrupted shitty sleep.
Do you use melatonin?
No.
Okay. Get yourself some...
But I use melanin. Is that the same thing?
Melatonin. Get yourself a magnesium supplement.
Magnesium?
Yeah. The Western diet is remarkably poor in magnesium. and it's a mineral that's essential. It actually helps with your stress levels, and a little bit, supposedly, but it can make a difference in some people's sleep.
It can't hurt you. It's magnesium, and if you take too much, it's like a laxative, so you'll just poop. So
Right.
what's wrong? Nothing wrong with that.
Well, there's different forms of it too.
Bananas, or is that potassium?
That's potassium.
Oh.
Yeah.
How late are you drinking caffeine at night, Jason?
I don't drink caffeine at night at all. Like, I've never been a good sleeper, ever.
Here we're actually being like trying to be doctors, homebrew for once, and you're getting the kind of medical advice you'd expect Brian and I to give you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I've thought about the melatonin. I honestly confuse the melanin and melatonin in my head.
Melatonin, yeah, it's something your body makes naturally when things start to get dark, and if your body just doesn't do it right, sometimes it helps you to put a little bit of that. You can do
Melanin is what makes your skin dark.
Yeah, I know. That's why it's funny to me. I don't want to go into GNC and ask for melanin.
Yeah, we're all pretty melanin impoverished in this room right now, unfortunately.
You guys are gonna be like, what the fuck you just asked me for, dude?
So
I'm sorry, I don't know. I'm just trying to sleep.
Magnesium glycinate is the one that has less of a laxative kind of effect.
I gotcha.
And it's, I don't know, whatever the stuff that they put in, Mid-Mucil or whatever, but...
Phillips milk of magnesia.
Yeah, or is it, yeah. I don't know. I think I'm getting these stuff mixed up.
See, this is why I'm not going to listen to you.
The internet is your brain, and it will help you.
You know what also helps is low dose THC edibles, like 5 milligrams, just the lowest possible dose. And you have that like half hour, an hour before bed.
Take a 10
If you're having a hard time going to sleep. Even that's too much. You don't need that much.
Split it in half, and then you get twice your money. Yeah.
Well, a little bit. Yeah.
Just because my hair is getting longer doesn't mean I'm a hippie, okay? Settle down over there. Brian wearing the purple shirt today. Rich, are you there?
Hey, how you doing?
What's going on, dude?
Rich.
Oh, not much. Just kind of hanging out, waiting for you guys. How's it going?
I don't care today, Rich. Don't get on my bad side.
Doesn't care.
Okay, sorry, man.
I'm just kidding. All right. So you've been on before, and this Vienna Lager is sort of a rebrew from the previous one that I believe was on my porch at like 96 degrees for even 20 minutes. But when I pulled the bottle out, I used one of those surface lasers, and the outside of the glass was 96 degrees, right?
Right, that is, but it's actually the same batch.
Same batch.
I didn't rebrew it. I sent you.
Perfect.
Okay.
Sent you a fresh, cool one.
It was,
okay.
Yeah, he sent us a fresh cool one. This was like 7 months ago or something, right?
Yeah, something like
from
that.
October.
Yeah, it was actually brewed last May.
It was brewed last May.
Correct.
It's a lager. It'll be okay.
Yeah, sure. There's water in that, Brian. What are you doing? Yeah.
This is extra water.
And actually, I'm having one with you. I didn't think I had any, but I found one in a corner of the refrigerator, so I dusted it off, and so
Perfect.
Here we go.
Okay.
Perfect. All right, Brian Cooper, why don't you go ahead and start us off, bud?
All right. So, yeah, listen back to episode 155. This is probably going to be about, the same as that, but we'll see.
Okay.
Open the bottle, got a little low hiss. It has a pleasant, bready, toasty malt up front with very low, spicy herbal hop aroma. Clean lager profile, no esters noted, no diacetyl or acetaldehyde detected. I thought I'm not getting it in this one. When I judged it before, and this was in January, it's now February something. I thought I got a faint papery, but I'm not really getting that in the nose here now. Appearance-wise, probably just because I knew it was old and I was putting that in my brain. Older, sorry. Appearance has a reddish, kind of grayish, ambery color with a low off-white head that stays up for a good long while. Mostly finer bubbles. Flavor-wise, clean, malty, toasty notes up front. It finishes semi-dry, just a bit minerally, perhaps, and low spicy floral hop and low bitterness. I wasn't getting any papery or honey-like notes in there, so I figured, okay, I was just off my rocker with the thinking there was some oxidation in the nose.
It's possible.
It does not taste oxidized at all. It actually still tastes very clean, and you must have bottled these well because it's holding up quite nicely.
Yeah.
Medium bodied with a medium level of carbonation and no warming. There shouldn't be. It's not very creamy, no astringency noted. It is pretty smooth on the palate and not really biting. So the mouthfeel is pretty nice there. A very nicely brewed Vienna Lager, no major detectable flaws, and for a slightly better balance, I would say just I was thinking almost just a bit more bitterness and less mineral. Does that make sense? Okay. You want the finish to really pop on this and just kind of dry out on your tongue and leave you with a little flourish there. But alternately, you could also go in a different direction, give it a hint more sweetness, and kind of round it out that way. I guess overall it just seemed a bit understated, maybe a little bit dulled as it ages, but it didn't seem really watery or anything. It's got a good amount of flavor to it there. It's just not quite as richly malty as I'd like, but it's still a really nice beer. These are all kind of fine points, and I actually gave it a 37. And I was not looking at my previous score sheet, but we just re-listened to that show on the way up here, my buddy and I, and lo and behold, I had given it a 37 back then too. So I guess I'm I'm good. I don't know, or I'm consistent.
You're just looking for something a little bit more sexy, huh?
I guess. I don't know. Yeah.
Okay.
It's a really nice lager. 37 is a very good score from for in a good
I'll take
competition.
For sure. All right, Brian Sharpe.
Yeah.
All right. So, Rich, are you in? I think you've been on the show before, and I think we've asked you, and I've of course forgotten because that's who I am. Are you in a homebrew club?
No, I'm not, Brian.
So you're the lone brewer. All right, that's totally cool.
That's right.
We're your club tonight. So I largely echo everything that Brian had said. I think the aroma, I did get a slight papery. I'm maybe a little more sensitive to oxidation in some respects. Offline, Brian and I were having a discussion about that before the show. I tend to get it a lot more when it's the cardboard/paper. And I think Cooper tends to get it a little more when it's more like a honey type thing. But
when it's first coming in,
yeah, exactly.
I can get the papery when it's Sometimes you get those dose kits and the papery is just so heavy you can't taste anything else. But.
Yeah, that's too much when you get that dose kit. I'm going to give it 7 for aroma. Appearance, 3 out of 3. It's got a really big, really persistent head, which is hard to do. So good job on that. Got kind of a medium dark gold color. Very clear, well done. Flavor, I really did get a lot of cardboard up front in this beer. I mean, it's one of those things that you take your first sip, and the cardboard, to me at least, is really apparent. Malt is... Sorry.
Yeah, maybe that's something that I'm getting as a, quote, mineraliness that I'm like having trouble ascertaining exactly what I'm picking up there.
I know what you're talking about. For me, it's like, this is going to sound ridiculous, but fresh cardboard. Not like wet cardboard.
No,
but
I hear
like,
what you're saying.
Like
exactly.
a clean, or like if you take cardboard out of the fridge, if you have like a box in the fridge and you open that box and that like cold cardboard smell, that's the flavor that I get out of that. So it is maybe a little tacky, minerally.
I was going for a dank cardboard.
Yeah,
like
you did yeah.
The outside of an Eggo box.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I think, Brian, for next time anyone does like a BJCP class, we need to have like different kinds of cardboard, like warm cardboard, cold cardboard, wet, dry,
corrugated, non-corrugated,
printed.
Like
that thin shit. And we just kind of go back to being kindergarten, pre-K, and we just start gnawing on every bit of cardboard we get our hands on.
I really prefer the Amazon box myself. It's the best cardboard.
Just don't eat the Smile. The Smile doesn't taste real good.
Never does.
So I do get the bready malt character, the bitterness that comes up, almost a balance. You can tell this was probably a really, really good beer when it was really fresh.
Right.
It's well attenuated. Gave it 11 out of 20 for flavor. Mouthfeel, you pretty much echo what Brian said. Gave it 5 out of 5. Overall, gave this 6 out of 10. I think that age is really the problem here.
Yeah.
I suspect that if we'd just come to your house uninvited, and just sat down and started drinking your beer.
Yeah.
When this was like 3 or 4 weeks old, we'd have been loving this, and you wouldn't have been able to get us out of your home, absent calling the sheriff.
Yeah, especially if it wasn't that day that it was 98 degrees outside. The one day in the middle of whenever the fall, early winter, I think is when it was. It was just randomly super hot.
Yeah.
When this was delivered.
It was like third summer, like third scorcher of the...
Yeah, but apparently it didn't even matter to Brian Cooper.
Yeah.
Same score. So there you go, Rich. How do you feel now?
Well, and it wasn't actually Brian Sharpe judging it with us the first time. It was our friend Beardy.
Oh, yeah.
Warren was here.
Oh, yeah.
Who cares, though?
Okay.
But I gave this 32 overall. Thought it was a good beer, and I suspect this is one where if I had this fresh, it'd probably be over 40.
Yeah, no, I judged it. The score sheet I was reading is from a month and a half ago, and I think as tasting it now, I probably would be down a couple more points than I was at on this. I just read it down, what I wrote at that point, and I was like, I kind of agree with some of this, and it's changing a little bit, and it's a little more dulled, a little, it's falling off the cliff a little bit, but it's not all the way off the cliff where you need to like dump it. It's still very nicely drinkable beer, and share it with your friends and enjoy it, and brew another batch.
Yeah, I personally I like it. It's not my favorite Vienna Lager. I'd have to mirror what you're saying. I've had better. It scored pretty well in a local competition. It got 40, I think, and took first place. But for me, it wasn't my favorite. The cardboardy, I guess I could taste a hint of cardboard as well when I'm sitting here drinking it too. But yeah, so
was yours bottled
fair,
at the same time?
Fair feedback.
Yeah, you found one that was bottled when you did all these.
I did, yeah.
Yeah, and it's amazing that it's held up as well as it has over the last
almost a year.
Since last summer. So pretty good job there. But yeah, you really don't want to leave homebrew sitting around bottled for that long and expect it to do well in a comp. You want to bottle it fresh and cap on foam and send her on down the road. But thanks for sharing.
I can step up my game on this one.
Send us a different beer sometime, and we'd love to have you back on again too.
That'd be great.
Do we want to briefly talk about anything recipe related? We covered it before, but if you just do your malt bill for us at least.
Yeah. So I got 70% Vienna malt, about 22% Pilsner, and then I've got 4% dark Munich, and they're all Wireman. Mm-hmm. And then that's for the mash, and then in the sparge I put half a pound of 2% Melatonin malt and 1% Carafa 3. So those were both in the sparge. So there's a grain bill.
And then I think you used Magnum hops for bittering, just kind of neutral Magnum.
Yeah, I used Magnum for the 60-minute boil, and then at 5 minutes I put in half an ounce of Saaz, and so that's my hop bill.
I love it. Don't change a thing.
I think it came out really nicely. And did you use pellets or a whole hop Saaz?
I used pellets. Yeah,
cool.
I would too.
Now,
me too.
Yeah.
It seems like a high percentage of Pilsner malt compared to the the Vienna, and some I'm trying to remember. Did you have Munich in there? Any Munich in there?
Yeah, I've got 4% dark Munich.
Just a little bit of the dark Munich. I mean, you can use a little bit of regular Munich in there too to bring up the complexity a little bit.
Oh yeah,
and use more of a higher Vienna to Pilsner ratio rather than 72% Pilsner and the rest other malts. It's a Vienna. A lot of them use a lot of Vienna malt. So you can do that, or you can blend Pilsner with Munich. You can do different ways to get that flavor. You just want to be careful going too far towards the Oktoberfest kind of side of things, or the Märzen side of things, getting too malty and rich. It has to be really quaffable, dry off in the finish, like this one kind of does, and leave you with some flavor in there. And the sweetness comes from the malts, not from the residual gravity in the beer so much.
Okay.
So
Now you had mentioned minerally. I used RO water, but I treated it with 2 teaspoons of calcium chloride. So I didn't use. Yeah,
the
that's
water
about all I
seems
put in there.
pretty clean. I think really what I am getting as that quote mineraliness is actually the oxidation. The more I taste it, it's a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, and as it warms up, it's a little maybe honey-like too
Cold.
now. So
Yeah,
dry.
a little honey. I don't really get any minerality out of this. Usually, I'm pretty sensitive to that. I can. There's beers you can tell, and they're like licking a rock because the water's been over-adjusted. And this is not a rock licking beer.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it is. It is like a papery or dry, cold
Is,
cardboard.
is rock licking ever in style in any of the?
No, rock licking is always a flaw and it is never in style. Unless, and if you're into that kind of thing, that's totally cool. But that's not. You probably shouldn't be drinking beer. You should probably just be out licking rocks at that point.
If you're 4 and you're on the playground, it's perfectly okay though.
I think that's why pastry stouts were invented.
You got to get your immune system built up somehow.
Yeah. All right, Rich. Well, if that's it, man, we'll let you go.
Okay.
Thanks for
All right. Well,
resending.
thanks.
Yeah, thanks for sharing.
Feedback.
Yeah, I appreciate waiting so long for the second show. We kept pushing it off.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
But
Thanks, Rich.
Thank you.
Okay.
All
See you
right,
guys.
later.
Bye.
Cool.
All right.
Good stuff.
It was nice of him to send that beer again.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, yeah, he had done pretty well in that competition. We judged it. Beardy judged it a little bit lower than me, I think, but it was, in the same territory. And but he had gotten like a 40 at a local comp there, so just wanted to see if we could get it there. But I don't think we got to it in time. Maybe if we gotten it really fresh, we could have tasted it at its prime. But once it travels like that and lands on JP's doorstep, it's done for.
That's true.
Brian, from a style.
Shut up, Brian. We're taking a break. Taking a break. I don't care today. I don't care.
He doesn't care.
I've heard you
Don't get on my
care
fucking
right now.
bad side. I don't care today. I'm not going to sit and let you just play it out. We're gonna take a break, and we're gonna come right back. Stay tuned, everybody. It's Dr. Homebrew.
It's all in your head. 100, 99, 98. That's it. 97, 96, 95.
Now back to Dr. Homebrew.
That's right, everybody. Dr. Homebrew back at it with apparently another Vienna Lager.
I'm still counting backwards.
The beer's so nice, we drank it twice from two different brewers.
That's right. And we have Don in the studio. Don, how's it going, man?
Going well.
Perfect. Thanks for coming in and bringing the Vienna Lager, dude. Yeah, get it right up in your face, uncomfortably so, and I can probably also stand to turn you up a little bit.
Like, put your lips on it. Don't even worry about coronavirus or anything. Just go for it.
Definitely don't do that.
If you're going to die, you're going to die. Fuck it, man.
The guy that had that left like more than 5 minutes ago.
That's right.
That's the theme of tonight. Who cares?
Gives a shit anymore. Don, how long you been homebrewing, homie?
I started homebrewing in 96.
96. All right. That's pretty close to when I started, actually.
Yeah, actually got interested in it. The first San Jose Beer Festival.
There you go.
Down there. Ran across one of the booths that was one of the brew clubs down there.
Yeah.
They had some good information. Got kind of interested in it. And then they told me about the local shop down there. I don't know if I can say that.
Yeah, go ahead.
So it's Beer and Winemakers of America, Richard.
We'll just beep it out later.
Yeah.
So it's
Beep.
I've been there.
I'm kidding.
And,
okay, good.
He gave me a lot of good information and got me started. And thank God my first batch was tasty because I would have probably quit right there.
Oh, yeah, mine was contaminated. It was terrible. The bottle gushers. It was awful. My first 6 beers were terrible.
Wow.
Yeah, so you definitely went in there,
My first was a
did
pale
pretty
ale,
good.
and it just was really good. So
Yeah.
I
good.
kept going, and I did probably about
Hell yeah.
2 years of extract, and then I switched to all grain, and I never looked back.
Okay. No mini mash?
No.
Flirted with mini mash? Yeah,
Quickly to all grain.
Yeah, I did 3 of those. I'm like, fuck this, dude. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm going all grain right now.
Yeah.
It's too bad.
Yeah.
Brian, did you have any questions for Don?
As a matter of fact, Don, I was going to ask you, are you a member of a homebrew club?
I am a member of Homebrew Club.
What is this
Mad
homebrew club?
Zymergist.
Yes, the Mad Z's. We love the Mad Z's.
I've never heard of them before.
I believe that they are located perhaps in the southern portion of the East Bay of the Bay Area.
I haven't heard
The
that
eastern
name
portion.
repeatedly over and over again every show.
Forever.
Yeah, I haven't.
Yeah.
Is
Because
it-
I started the club and I'm so proud of my baby and how it's
I didn't know
grown.
you started it.
Yeah,
I started
absolutely.
it.
That's
dude.
cool. I didn't know.
I didn't know that either.
Don and I were at
Yeah.
the very first meeting of the Mad Zymergist in April.
Well, I hope you were there. But,
2007.
all right.
Wow.
Well, then how did you know about
Hot
it?
tech.
How did you know about it, Don?
So the homebrew shop that was in Livermore, they tried to start a homebrew shop.
Daniel?
Yep, Goodman.
Yeah.
Tried to start a homebrew shop. Well, I mean, club.
Little club.
Kind of wavered back and forth a bit. Nobody really wanted to take the reins and take over.
Yeah, it sounds like a homebrew club, yeah.
Yeah. And then Brian came along and I decided, I'll be the president, and he just got it kicking.
That
I
sounds
can
like
also
Brian.
partially blame my friend Greg, and he was one of the ones there too. And he was like, "Oh, we got this little thing starting in Livermore," because I was like, "I don't really want to travel over." I went to competitions that the Bay Area Masters put on. I knew about some of the other local clubs and doughs and stuff. But I was like, I don't want to travel that far. It'd be nice to have something local. There's a lot of good brewers here.
To Livermore is so far away.
Yeah.
my buddy Al Branch was. No, I just meant like going to
We're
Oakland
trying
or
to
going
come
up
over to Words of Wisdom in Los Altos. I
Yeah.
mean, we're awesome guys, but, that's
drive
a
an
pain
hour
in the
after
ass.
tasting
Yeah.
20 homebrews like I do every time we record this show.
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
Yeah. No. Or judge a competition.
Is this your first Vienna Lager? I would imagine not.
No. I've brewed this for years, actually.
Okay.
Got several awards for it, third, second, and first. And,
Okay.
Yep.
So you're just testing these guys' palates, really?
Well, pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, you don't want any feedback. You just want to fuck them up a little bit. All right, well, Brian Sharpe, you're up first, man. Go for it.
All right. Don, thanks for sharing this beer. I really liked it.
You bet.
I'm not just saying that because you're sitting right here and you could get up, but you'd be within
Striking
punching range. I'm not just saying that for that reason. The aroma is sort of low, medium, bready, malty. Definitely a malt-oriented aroma. I get kind of a low, spicy, earthy hop character. No esters, no off aromas. It smells really inviting. Gave this 10 out of 12 for aroma. Appearance 3 out of 3. It's crystal clear. You could read through this beer. Head is huge and ivory. This pour we just got, it wasn't quite as huge as the one earlier before the show, but I mean, I've been drinking out of this glass, so all the nasty saliva enzymes and stuff are breaking that beautiful head down. But oh my God, before the show, it was what I like to call heroic, where you've got like an inch of beer, and like the head is 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch, and it just doesn't settle. Mm-hmm. So it was really nice. What you really want from a traditional German style lager like this, ultimately. Color is amber, beautiful, 3 out of 3. Flavor, initially the flavor is also sort of medium malty bready, but not overwhelmingly so. I'd even say a little on the low side, although this is a little bit warmer than the sample I had before, and my judgment of this is maybe it's a little more bready malty than the previous sample had been. Mid-palate, hop bitterness comes up to balance, maybe even a little bit more than balance, which is what the guidelines call for. Right. One of the things, I'm not going to belabor the point here, but if you pull up the style guidelines, they do a good job of sort of explaining the intersection between this Vienna Lager, Märzen, Czech Amber Lager, some of the styles that kind of converge on some of the similar space for malts and bitterness and hop character. And this should be a little more on the bitter side, and it is. There's spicy hop flavor at a low level. It's very well attenuated. Finish is balanced and of medium length. Extremely clean, 15 out of 20. Mouthfeel, 5 out of 5. It's creamy and soft. Body is medium. Carbonation is medium. No warming or astringency. I really like this beer. I gave this a 9 for an overall impression and a 42 overall. I thought that you did a really good job on making this beer not too huge for style. Right? One of the temptations for brewing anything for competition or for being judged is to try to make it big. And like I was kind of alluding to earlier, you make this beer too big and suddenly it's a Märzen, or suddenly it's a Czech Amber Lager, or it's something. It's not a Vienna Lager. A Vienna Lager, it's kind of like, in some sense, making a light American lager. They're very different beers, but they're very much about subtlety.
Bev, can you shut that door, please?
And I think that the
dumbass, thank you.
Slap him.
I think that JP, I think you're having a great fun evening.
Shut up, Brian! I'm tired of your bullshit.
Can I go down to the liquor store at the break and bring you like a fifth of something? Or
you can go down there and you can stay down there.
I set myself up for that, didn't I?
Sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to derail you.
I need a shot.
I don't need help to get derailed.
Truth.
So this is, it's very balanced, slightly toward bitterness, like the style calls for. Very clean. My comment from before that I'm not sure, now that it's warmer, my comment from before was maybe a touch more Vienna malt would be nice. But really, this is just a fantastic beer. 42. This I can see why you've placed in competition with this beer before. Really well done. Thank you for sharing this.
Thanks.
All right, Brian Cooper. It's time. Well, don't do that yet because we don't know if Bev has selected that camera or not. So you may have just moved the live camera and gave everybody fucking motion sickness. You have one job to do, Brian, and that is stop. Don't touch it.
Pointing at his boobs again, though.
You have one job to do.
JP is slapping
Hold
Brian's
on, everyone,
hand
shut up.
No one's
Look at the face.
this.
Look at the face, JP.
You have one job to do, and that's to judge beer. Don't touch the camera.
I want to touch the camera.
All right.
Somebody needs to fix the camera because it's clearly pointing at his chest.
See, this is and now everyone's gonna have to hear this, and it's really annoying radio.
Does anyone need a hug like in between shows?
Is it fine?
It's fine.
Okay, Brian, please now continue.
Can we pause and start over here?
No. Continue. Go ahead, please. I have to play words with
I
friends.
feel like we're annoying my friend from my club. He's going to quit after this.
I'm not in your club.
13 years of being my friend Don over here. We drove up together. I need
Don's
to
fine.
ride back with this guy, and I don't want to listen to him complaining about how shitty these people I work with are.
Well, then he shouldn't complain about it.
I never complain.
See?
So we opened the beer. It had a really nice hiss, good fill level, everything good there. The aroma, medium pleasant bread crust, light toasty malt aromas up front. A light floral hop aroma in there behind all that. Not too much of that. Some light apricot-like fruitiness in there, which was kind of enjoyable, just from the malts though, not like a ferment-derived ester, but there's something just pleasant and warm in there, and in the kind of fruity malt range. Very cleanly lagered, no DMS or diacetyl, just nice and clean. Appearance, it has an orangey deep amber color with a large creamy white head that just stuck around forever almost. Poured it and just kept rousing itself there. You can bring it back up, and it's very finely formed, nice fine bubbles, perfect appearance for the style. Flavor wise, I'm getting a bold bread crusts and some Munich-like toastiness. The malt comes out right up front, and at first it seemed like bordering a little bit on Märzen territory, but it also, in this case, when you're judging a flight of beers, that was the first beer I judged tonight, so it's the hardest beer to judge is always the first one in a flight. Well, or sometimes the last one, but it seemed a little bigger at first than it is to me now. So has a very, very slight kind of honey-like sweetness that lingers in the aftertaste, but the finish is actually semi-dry. It dries out nicely, and has a nice, the balance is definitely to the malt as it should be. The bitterness is fairly low and out of the way. The hops are just kind of very low floral hop. It doesn't seem spicy. It seems more on the floral side of things. Just a nice clean, like kind of German like noble hop. It seems like. I'm guessing ingredients. I shouldn't do that. Right. Mouthfeel wise, medium bodied plus, I would say. But again, maybe first beer syndrome. It's medium bodied ish or so. Medium carbonation, soft enough on the palate, stays refreshing throughout at the same time. It's not too big. It's not too intense. It's not. It's definitely not molasses. Consistency wise, it's just in the right place. No obvious warmth, no astringency. Just overall very smooth. Overall impression, I'd say it's a very, very pleasant Vienna Lager with a. Just about all the declared style characteristics that you want in this beer. I think I'd like it better with just a very slightly lighter body. Perhaps drop back some of the richest malts just a bit. If there's Munich with Vienna in there, maybe bring up the Vienna a little more, as Brian was saying, and drop the toast back just a little bit. If it could be just a bit. Of a nicer balance, and this is just a really fine point. You could also, mash it even a bit lower and get it even a little drier, and then the maltiness you might not notice as much, that is there. But there could be. I don't know how old the beer is, but it seems like it was stored well and bottled well. I was getting a light little honey-like thing, but that was just a very fine point. It could be the start of some oxidation or something else, but overall it's a very pleasant beer, nice quaffable as it is, and I scored it a 39. So
nice.
Yeah. And also likewise, not because he's my friend and he's sitting next to me here, but this is
right.
I drink his Vienna all the time, and he has a reputation for being a good Vienna brewer in our club, and I know how hard it is to make a good lager like this. So the talent does not go unappreciated.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, Don, what do you think? What do you think about all that feedback, all that lovely, nice feedback you got?
It's wonderful.
Do you have any questions about anything that the guys said, or?
Not particularly.
Yeah.
Can we talk about your malt bill and your
absolutely,
your yeast,
hops,
your fermentation temperature,
water,
what you were wearing that day,
so,
your favorite cola.
I was wearing anything that day.
That's why it tastes so good. You know what I'm saying?
So, I don't know the percentages. I'm gonna just kind of.
You can go by pounds or whatever you want.
Well, so it's a 7-gallon batch size. It's 4.5 pounds of Pilsner malt, Turo. Vienna malt, 4.5 pounds. Munich malt, 4.5 pounds. So 33, third
kind of even split.
Okay.
And then Carafa Special 2, 2.5 ounces in that.
So take off the third, and that's the the third. 33.
So the Carafa is for head retention?
Color.
Color? Okay.
Yeah, because one time I forgot to put it in. I'm putting it in the boil kettle. I'm like, this is really kind of light. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Oops. Yeah. Yeah, you shouldn't drink when you make beer. Oh, wait a minute. That's not right.
No, you're right. You really shouldn't drink when you're brewing. It's a bad idea.
One suggestion that came up the last time we were talking about this beer, actually with Rich the previous time, was sometimes you can with the Carafa, things like that, you can just drop them in your sparge instead of even putting it in your mash.
Right.
And it gives you the color, but doesn't draw as much of the dark malt flavor out of it. Not that you have that much there. A couple ounces isn't going to hurt anybody, but it's a good trick to get the color without as much of the flavor in there. Just kind of drop it
The
in.
other thing I do with the Carafa is I use a coffee grinder to just powder it,
Pulverize the heck out of
just to beat the crap out of it, and then just kind of sprinkle it over when I mash after I mashed in,
Okay.
and then kind of stir it in a bit.
Yeah.
I mean
It works.
The number, the amount of color it gives,
Yeah.
it disperses pretty well.
You're not
Yeah.
trying to get gravity out of it.
No.
Right.
So then the yeast is 2124. Used to be WP 830, but depending on what brewing store you go to, you have to kind of get whatever they got.
Yeah.
Okay.
The hops is Hallertauer all the way. So 1.6 ounces at 60 minutes, and then 0.65 ounces at 10.
Okay.
So
Nice.
that's a fairly low
Yeah.
alpha hop. So that's interesting that you get, to me, what's kind of a high hop bitterness to balance using such a small amount of Hallertauer for 7 gallons.
Yeah.
That's true.
It's really interesting.
Explain yourself.
Do you recall what the alphas were on those Hallertauers?
No, unfortunately, I never got in the habit of writing that down.
That's fine. I mean, Hallertau is going to be probably 5% or less. But yeah,
Threes or so, yeah.
But that's really fascinating. You got that much bitterness out of those hops.
I didn't get a ton of bitterness. I think that some of it is from some of what you're getting might be from the toastiness playing off the dryness of the beer, being like not bitterness, but like malt, not malt bitterness necessarily, but malt richness playing off the dryness.
Yeah. And I guess, in terms of, it's 2020 and we've all had our lupulin threshold shift, it's 15 years ago. So
You can
the
still
idea
taste
that you can have like a lower gravity beer like this that is still flavorful and you can have enough bitterness to balance in the flavor with, a couple of ounces of Hallertauer, that's normal, but we've kind of gotten away from thinking that is.
Well, since the Brewing
Sure.
Network is rich, we can pay to have it sent out for IBU analysis.
That's true. Let's do it right now.
Well, I believe we're going to go get in the
Beep
BN jet
boop.
right now
Beep
and go to
boop.
Switzerland somewhere and
Yeah.
get only the finest Swiss analysis of this.
Beyond
It's true. Well, it would have a lot of holes in it.
Yeah. So what temperature did you ferment at, Don?
Fermentation.
Do you remember?
Yeah, 50. Generally.
just keep it steady at 50.
For
And
how
then-
long?
No ramps or anything.
I'm not a very patient person. It's about a week and a half, 2
Well,
weeks.
that's fine. Just curious.
And then just bump
so you
it
have
up.
it in a fridge or something. You
It's a
control your
converted
temp.
freezer.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then ramp to
Nice.
68 or something. Or where do you go with it?
Yeah, 55, 58,
yeah.
somewhere in there.
Yeah. Diacetyl rest for lagers doesn't need to be in the 60s.
Yeah.
That's the classic
Sure.
advice is, okay, do a diacetyl rest at 68 for 2 days. And But, you can, with a lager, you don't need to go all the way up that high.
Yeah, I agree.
Plus, it takes longer to ramp back down if you go slow.
Truth.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
All right.
Water-wise, just a little more
I
water?
filter
Filtered.
carbon and fine particle filter everything. But that's, it's not really going to take all the good stuff out of the water, right?
No, very good.
Yeah, pretty much. Don't do a lot with water.
Neither do I.
check the pH.
Hardly touch the stuff.
Make sure. Yeah. Don't. I can't
The
tell
minerals,
that joke.
See, I'm not gonna.
Yeah. The only thing I check is pH and make sure that's sort of in the range that I want it.
Yeah.
Cool.
So,
I love it.
Well done, man.
Yeah.
Whatever what
Thank
you're
you.
doing is
Don,
working.
thanks, dude.
thanks.
All right, we're going to take a very quick break, and then we're going to come right back, and we're going to wrap up the show. Hang on. It's Dr. Homebrew.
Please report to the ER for code blue. Dr. Homebrew to the ER, please. No, and your tea time has been moved to 2:30.
All right. Well, there you go, everybody. If you want to learn how to make Vienna Lagers that are, above 30, which is hard to do, this is the show for you. Right, Brian?
For sure. And if you want to send beer to me, email Brian at thebrewingnetwork.com. That's Brian with an I. And everybody should know how to spell the Brewing Network by now. And send us your beer. We'd love to taste it, and we'd love to help you out with it. If you have a problematic beer, something that's driving you nuts. All my beers taste like this. Or my friend says you can taste this in it, but I don't. Or whatever it is.
Anything
we'll
like
help you settle that score, man.
For sure. And mainly because I know from emails past, a lot of people are nervous about sending bad beer. They go, oh, I don't have anything good yet. We don't want good beer. We want bad beer to help you make it into good beer, if that makes sense.
Yeah, they're the most interesting ones to discuss. And we love getting the good beers too, but we don't want the show to be something where everybody, somebody tries to crack that 45 threshold or something.
That'd be nice, but
they probably have already. I don't keep track of the scores, but we just try to be fair and judge what we get, and we appreciate it. We're never going to beat you up unnecessarily.
That's true.
Unless you're done.
A solid 15 years ago, one of the first comps I ever judged, one of the beers tasted like rosemary and dirt. And it's been like an herb. See, that's good comedy. You should have a podcast, man. And it was interesting, like you're saying. It's interesting to try to figure out how it gets the taste that way, because they're not any of the standard descriptors that you hear or see in the guidelines or anything. It's like, how does it get to be like that? That's half the fun of doing this.
I'm pouring a beer right now. And I want you guys real fast, because we're almost out of time. I mean, we basically are out of time.
Yeah.
Tell me your thoughts on this beer.
Wow, the aroma smells like brew day. It's very worty aroma.
It smells like I'm walking by a brewery.
Fresh wort.
And it's very nice, but it's also not what I expect from a finished beer.
This is a black ale.
From whom, or were you going to say?
I'll say it later.
Okay.
We'll say it later.
I saw the can.
No.
No.
It's not bad, but
the
flavor
this,
is warty and kind of one-dimensional.
Yeah.
Like the aroma, and there's just not... Is this like one of those Malta beverages that's not supposed to be alcoholic, that is like a thing, or am I wrong?
I don't know what that means. A Malta beverage?
I've heard of this stuff called Malta that's like popular in Latin America. That's like a beer, but it's not fermented.
Do me a favor, Brian. Yeah, thank you. It just took 12 hours to close the door.
It does taste like unfermented wort and kind of...
It smells and tastes like that, yeah.
Yeah, watery, but wordy, yeah.
No off flavors, no off aromas.
Yeah.
There's a lot of flavor and aroma to it.
Yeah, it's just not the right one.
I'd like to ferment this and turn it into beer.
It's it's non-alcoholic beer from Hairless Dog. It's a black ale, non-alcoholic craft beer. I picked it up. I thought, why not? Let's try it. Let's try some of it.
Interesting, yeah.
And the first time I had it, I was like, wow, the aroma's cool, because it's kind of chocolatey and wordy, and it does smell like boiling wort when you just add the hops. So it's sort of that earthy kind of thing. But that flavor, I can't do it. It's like harsher, earthy, like from what I've read Pride of Ringwood used to be. That kind of like really stemmy, viney kind of like quality.
Like I never tasted that hop that I know of. But Zymergy in like 1994, 1993 was all about, oh God, Pride of Ringwood, be careful with this hop.
Yeah.
And it was supposed to be pretty nasty if you didn't know what to do with it.
It tastes like wort. It tastes like a hydrometer sample, a carbonated hydrometer sample. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Somebody probably had to pressure cook the hell out of this, or do something to keep it from fermenting.
But they might have just brought it up. They might have just
in.
mixed it with like a seltzery thing and brought it up to like a finishing gravity that a beer would have, like a 10, 13
well, that's true.
or something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
different
quite
put
like
lots of
yeast.
flavor in there. So like for a non-alcoholic beer, this has a lot of flavor.
Agreed.
Yeah,
That's something you could say. Like most non-alcoholic
There's
beers
something you can say.
taste like water.
So I definitely applaud them for trying to make not just a light beer that's not like, non-alcoholic Heineken or lagers, right?
Yeah.
This is actually a beer with some flavor. But the flavors were weird. They're hard for me to like get around. Now, if I couldn't drink alcohol anymore and I still wanted to live, I would drink this.
You could mix it with
I think.
O'Doul's. Do we have O'Doul's here?
Oh yeah, let me pull some O'Doul's out. What?
Oh, Jesus Christ. O'Doul's. I mean, don't make me reach over there and slap you. O'Doul's.
All right, well,
Good God.
that's all I wanted to get to. I just wanted you guys to try some of this stuff. I have another can, but I'll save it for the next show.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? It's not
unflavorful.
It's not unflavorful. You can definitely say that. So if you're if you're looking to kick back a beer after you're like fifth and don't want a giant hangover, maybe you pick up some of this kind of a thing, right?
Is this from Hair of the Dog Brewing? And maybe they call it
No.
Hairless Dog because
Nope.
there's no alcohol in it?
Nope.
Okay.
All right, everybody. Thanks a lot for tuning in. This has been Dr. Homebrew. You've been great. I'm out of here. Hey, everybody, welcome. Dr. Homebrew. Today's going to be a good show. I believe we're doing a commercial calibration of some sort.
What?
And we're going to talk about the right way to fill out a judging score sheet.
Yeah. We're gonna also taste non-alcoholic beers, like 6 of them back to back, and see which one's the best.
You joke, but I have one. I have another one to try.
Another one.
It's a porter.
Is one of those
Still
when I
trying to
pee in
choke
your
down
mouth?
the first one here.
Well, you don't have to. What's that, Shar?
Let's just pretend I didn't say what I just said.
Okay, that's good. I appreciate that. That's the kind of humor and jokes that we like on the show.
Things that I wish I had not said.
Right, things you can't repeat
Do you
or
have
hear.
any light low-cal IPAs?
Is that you were saying you were joking? I don't know if you were
I was not
joking, but you were
joking.
saying
It's
a
a
thing
thing.
before the first show. That's a thing now.
There's like 100 calorie or whatever IPAs out there, like low-cal IPAs. It's a thing.
Why is it a thing? Just because it needs to be, I guess.
Well, things swing back and forth. People get
Yeah.
tired of
Yeah,
drinking.
they sure
the
do.
IPA has crept up until 7.9 isn't enough anymore. A single IPA must be 8.3, and they're sick of it, and they want to stay kind of sober and drink their beer and enjoy it, and still have all that hop flavor.
What's the ABV on a 100 cal IPA?
It's got to be like 4 something.
That's not
I
an
don't
IPA
know.
then.
But if you can make it taste like an IPA somehow,
It's not an IPA.
that you can magic it, and
That's to be like a session IPA.
being 4% and tasting like Pliny somehow.
It can't happen,
Okay,
Pliny the Elder or the Younger?
It can't happen.
I can't.
right? I mean, can you admit you are more experienced than I am? Tell me I'm wrong.
Well, it would be hard to get the alcohol flavor, but if you get all the hop flavor and a kind of a proper balance for it, with maybe some light sweetness substituting for the alcohol, I don't know, dude. It's unexplored territory for me because I've never had one.
You know what you should
But I'm
do?
intrigued.
You should take like some hop pellets and just put them in like a sack and put them in some hot water or some cold water and just let that flavor come out and drink it. And it's probably like 0 calories.
Cold
That's
brew.
just a hop tea, though.
I know.
yeah.
I'm just joking. Because people do all kinds of weird shit. It's not any weirder than that seltzer nonsense people seem to like these days. Kids these days are their seltzer and their hazy IPAs and their pastry stouts.
That's
I don't
true,
know.
but like
Look
I
how
mean,
big it
from
is.
a lot of the like session or lower ABV IPAs that I've ever had on this show,
They usually taste watery.
it's impossible. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
impossible. Anything sub 5 that's trying to be an IPA, it's very hard to get that malt character in there.
So maybe
Yeah.
it's not really a new thing. It's just there's a little pullback against everything being
Yeah, probably.
7.5%,
Yeah.
8%.
Even one of my
No.
favorite breweries, they make a session IPA. It's like their one beer I don't like, and to me, it's like Alka-Seltzer because it's highly carbonated to the point where it's too minerally. I think,
Yeah.
where it competes with the hops, and you have to do something to kind of. And I think the carbonation lifts the hop flavor and the hop aroma out, which is great.
Yeah.
But then it's I don't want to be drinking Alka-Seltzer.
That's true. Not too much anyway.
Not until it's the morning after.
All right, Brian Cooper, what are we doing here right now, my friend?
Well, we're tasting a beer that Don and I brewed together,
Okay.
and I tried to judge, with an open mind, even though I know what's in there and how old it is. And also we're going to talk about judging score sheets.
All right.
How to fill one out.
Hell yeah. Well, what's the first beer? Because I don't have a beer here.
It's in that little cooler over there.
It's in the cooler. We're not even ready today? Oh, my goodness. What is going on?
Mr. Always ready on the spot Johnny here accuses us of being slackers.
Hey, all I was
have
told...
a heater to heat this up a little bit?
All I was told to do is start the show, and so I did it.
We're like,
And
this
now
is like
here
we're
I am.
scrubbing in right now. We're scrubbing in for our analysis and everything
I'd like
else.
to scrub
It's
this
an IPA, so
show.
you don't want any help for you that much. Is that
No,
enough?
perfect. Thank you.
It's like I'm washing from my fingertips up to my elbows to be sure I don't contaminate the patient. So
It's true.
This is what we're doing right here.
I like how you said scrubbing up, and then you described what it is. That
Yeah.
was my favorite part about that.
Because I'm a little on the spectrum, and we've never watched the doctor show on TV.
I'm a good doctor. I always make fun of that because Taryn loves
I
that
am
show.
a good doctor, and I also is that a show, The Good Doctor?
I thought you were making that joke.
Well, no, I was making a joke about like any doctor TV show always shows them like scrubbing up to their elbows and
Oh,
then putting
yeah.
their gloves on and shit.
No, there's a show called The Good Doctor, and he's an autistic surgeon. So it's like House,
Okay.
but he's autistic. And
Where are
so
we going with this?
every time that every time I walk in and she's watching the show, I'm a good doctor because it's called The Good Doctor. I'm a
He
good
says
doctor.
the name of the show. I respect that about him. You
Yeah.
gotta say the name of the show.
All right, so
they advertise on the Brewing Network.
what beer is this? What are we drinking? Talk to me.
This is an IPA,
Okay,
an American IPA.
American IPA brewed by you and Dawn.
We brewed it for the Northern California Homebrewers Festival last year, and they had
I thought we were doing a commercial calibration. When did that change?
it changed.
Good to know. It's good to know before the show because I announced it during the show that we were doing
I
a
heard
commercial
that. You can
calibration.
Because you
that
were
out.
saying that,
Okay.
and I was like, "Are we gonna have time for that? Because we have that and this and the other thing."
I'm up for
and
whatever.
stuff we're doing.
We can do a commercial calibration as well.
Let's have
we
an
don't
hour and a
time
half
for that.
show. I said, let's go for it, man.
No,
Let's do it.
No. Okay, so
Keep
we've
JP here late.
We've pulled an audible. Now we're doing another homebrew. Now the host of the show is on the right page with everybody else. So
We can
I
start
feel
over.
good. No, we can't start over. We've already done this for 6 minutes, and it's fascinating.
It's on
You
the
got it,
post-it
cool
over
ship.
there.
Hey, did we thank our sponsor yet?
No, because you're fucking with me with this shit.
This is good podcasting right here.
Thank you to 5 Star Chemicals. You can go to 5starchemicals.com and learn how to damage your co-host's eyes with PBW, hot PBW. No, I don't know. Clean look, people.
Don't put hot PBW in your eyes. For
Or
the
your
love of
co-host
God.
eyes, yeah.
That's
We
a
don't-
bad idea.
Use it to clean kegs. Use it to clean your carboys, and then sanitize those things. You don't do everything all at
JP,
once. That stuff doesn't work.
We don't put hot PBW in our friends' eyes.
We don't.
That's not acceptable behavior.
I said co-host.
In other people's eyes.
That was a call. That was a
Whatever.
callback from the first show when you said
Gotcha.
that. Yeah. Okay. Great. Anyway, 5 Star Chemicals. They love you. You love them. They're going to be at NHC in a couple of months here. So go ahead. Speaking of hot, Nashville hot chicken. That's all I'm going to do. I'm going to call in sick for the floor for HomebrewCon, and I'm just going to eat hot chicken.
Are you guys going to HomebrewCon?
Yeah.
I got to get my tickets and get ready for that. 'Cause I'm going to CBC.
I've told Jay I want to go, and he goes, So to me, that could be maybe not. I don't know, but I would like to
Yeah.
go
I
because
would-
it's the only
yeah.
way I'm ever going to get to Nashville
I
without
think
practice.
We're gonna go to Dolly. We're gonna go to Dollywood afterwards, Pigeon Forge, and spend like a couple of days doing the Dollywood thing.
Yeah.
It says, well, as long as we're already in Nashville, it's only like 3 hours more. I might
Yeah.
as well do Dollywood at that point.
That's
Yeah,
right.
JP, let's get the band back together, man.
Do we have a
Me and
band?
you, yeah.
All right.
You remember?
4 friends and Sam.
Okay. All right.
That's
well,
a deep cut.
I meant let's form a band.
let's form a band and go to Dollywood.
Yeah.
All right. So let's do this IPA here, fellas. Cooper, why don't you go ahead? Since this is your fault, we're doing this. Why don't you start us off?
Okay. So, we opened the bottle. It had a light hiss. The fill level seemed appropriate. And it was in a bottle without labels on it, which was nice. And aroma-wise, I'm getting a lightly hoppy with a little bit of resiny kind of quality to it. Notes of citrus and a bit of some dankness behind that. Moderate fruity esters, Clean ale fermentation is apparent. Bready malt behind the hops, but just the hops are not like, hey, here's the hops, and hey, here's some malt underneath here. It's like, hey, here's some hops, and then hey, here's some malt underneath here. It's kind of almost even.
Right.
That's my whole point there.
Okay.
Lower hop than expected. No DMS or diacetyl. It's cleanly fermented. Seems like a good ale. But yeah, just a little underwhelming on that front. Not super pungent. Appearance-wise, it's pretty nice. Orangey amber color. The head started low and stuck around for a fair while, but low white head kind of persisted for a little bit and faded away. You can rouse it a little bit. The bubbles cling to the edge of the glass a little bit, and it's got a little bit of some hop haze in there, which is forgivable for an IPA. But I scored it a 2 out of 3 for appearance. Flavor-wise, hop flavors come out first, but they're accompanied by a fairly high bitterness, which is also kind of coarse and just a little bit rough to me. The malt is lightly caramelly. The beer finishes, I would say, semi-dry. So the one thing that stood out to me, and I kept thinking about it, was it has this kind of odd stale orange juice impression. It's not like orange juice, but it's like orange juice that's been sitting in the glass for a couple of hours, and then you drink it by accident or whatever. Not super sweet in that sense, but it's just like it's got a fruity quality to it that sticks out a little high because maybe the hops are too low or have faded perhaps. But I'm not getting any, when I say stale, it's like stale orange, not like a bright fruitiness, but kind of a dulled fruitiness. And I'm not getting any big, any paper or cardboard in here either. So it's, the balance is just slightly to the hop. I would like more hop here in the flavor, but it's, it's in IPA territory. It's pretty tasty beer, and it's cleanly brewed. So, not too much wrong here. Just most of these are fine points. But mouthfeel, medium light bodied, a little bit of stringency, probably coming from that hop, edge, the bitterness, little roughness in there. Bites you in the mouthfeel a little bit.
Yeah.
There is some faint warmth in there. It's got some alcohol to it. You can taste that. You can feel that warming. Medium low CO2. I would say a bit too low. You might want to push that up a little bit, and it could also drive out some of those hop aromas and flavors a little better and make it pop a little better. But it's kind of there, not very smooth or creamy, but not super biting either. It's kind of middle of the road. So more. I guess this is leaning more towards the classic IPA territory. It's clean and it seems well brewed. It doesn't seem like having any zany kind of new world hops in it, like the big tropical things that you want. But I know also that I brewed it, and it was brewed to be a tropical IPA, so that's kind of a juxtaposition there.
Okay.
But it also is perhaps just a bit past its prime.
Well.
Yeah. Equinaut. Yeah. I don't know. We used some hops in it that we don't normally use when we're brewing our IPAs. But
okay.
You made a beer and you put hops in it.
Trying a little experimentation there. Yeah. All right.
So I guess I'd like to get rid of that odd orange juice flavor. And I think, my advice to the brewer is don't put orange juice in your beer. It's a bad thing to do.
Right.
And it gets stale really fast. So you don't want to drink that shit. It's bad.
Gotcha.
No. I'm pretty sure there's no orange juice in this beer unless Don added some to mess with
Maybe.
me when he was bottling it. But
I don't know.
Let's see what Brian says.
He seems like that kind of guy.
I gave it a 32. I thought it was okay. I thought it was pretty.
It's not just okay.
What
is 32? There we go. Very good. All right.
Very good idea.
All
So
right.
I'm throwing this question out rhetorically. I don't want us to actually discuss this, but you know how people talk about making like maple syrup beers, and instead of water, they'll put in like freaking 10 gallons of maple syrup, and it's for making like an imperial stout or stuff like that.
Right.
I wonder if you made a beer with orange juice instead of water. It'd probably be a remarkably bad idea. It's going to fuck up your pH.
Shit.
Everything about it's going to be wrong.
Yeah.
But I wonder if that would just make it like, citrusy. or if it would be just a shit show that you would not want to drink. I'm guessing the latter.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Listeners, if any of you make an orange juice beer, make a gallon. What the hell? If it's
That's
awesome, send it in. If it's awful, send it in. Just tell us all about that. I'm just making stuff up on the fly at this point. All right. American IPA. Sorry, Brian's like cracking up in the corner, and I can't not react to that. American IPA, I got prominent citrus and tropical aroma.
There we go.
You just mentioned you wanted to make a tropical IPA. Got tropical fruit, hop aroma. Got some orange and lime in there, predominant, but definitely some tropical fruit and other things in there too. No fruitiness from fermentation. It's a very different kind of estery fruitiness that you get from high temperature fermentation than you get from hop character. No off aromas. Didn't get really any malt or alcohol, but that's all these things are what you want from an IPA. IPA can have a little malt, but this is not 1998 where you need to have like a balanced malt and hop aroma to have an IPA. Styles change, things change. 9 out of 12. Appearance 3 out of 3. It's crystal clear. West Coast all the way, baby. West Side. I'm way too old and white to say shit like that. So let's pretend that I didn't say that, and I will commit not to saying that again. Head is medium and persistent. Color's medium gold. 3 out of 3. Flavor. This is how malleable flavor is, as how suggestible it is. I didn't think this until you mentioned orange juice, and then I had a sip, and I could not get that frickin' Tropicana orange juice out of my mind. Specifically Tropicana. If you remember being 7, or if you have a 7-year-old or a 5-year-old or whatever, the Tropicana is the total. I can't even read what you're holding up there, Brian.
Brian, this is bad radio. What are you doing?
Let's see. All right. So we'll do that later.
Distracting.
Trying to make Bebo laugh.
You're distracting the other Brian.
So Tropicana is that orange juice that is very distinctly artificial, right? There's nothing natural about Tropicana. It's like sweet, and it has some kind of orange flavor or whatever. And I had a sip, and I'm like, oh my God, this is Tropicana orange juice. And it doesn't really change. I still think it's a really good flavor, but I can't get that out of my head now while I'm drinking it. I thought it had a very orange character anyway.
Yeah.
Initially, to me, it's a surprising balance of kind of a malt sweetness and some floral citrus hop, but really more citrusy, more orangey. And it's not under-attenuated. It's a very well-attenuated beer, but the character that I get is almost... And we've talked about 90s style IPAs with this. A lot of IPAs you would get 2000-ish would be almost a little sweet in the front, not from under attenuation, but from malt.
Yeah.
To kind of balance out the bitterness. And I definitely got that here. There's high hop flavor, definitely orange, citrus, some tropical fruit, high bitterness, but not to the point where it rips your tongue off. Definitely balances the malt, and the finish is long-lasting, balanced between bitterness and hop flavor and malt. No esters or off flavors. Give it 14 out of 20 for flavor. Mouthfeel, 5 out of 5. Everything Brian said. Overall impression, 8 out of 10. Thought it was very clean and well-made beer.
Yeah.
No off aromas, no off flavors. There's this weird Tropicana orange juice thing, which, and I'm wondering, we were sort of talking after I'd written the score sheet kind of off air, that maybe that sweetness that I'm getting up front might be a little bit of oxidation, given the age of this. The notes that I had is if you're mashing, maybe take a look at your malt bill and see if there's something like a honey malt or something that has unfermentables or some very distinct character to it that might be providing a perception of sweetness while still having high attenuation. But I suspect that maybe what's really happening here is maybe a little bit of oxidation that I'm perceiving as some sweetness, almost a slight honey-type character up front.
Yeah. So
overall, 39.
May I argue with you on mouthfeel? You gave it a 5 out of 5
Dude,
for mouthfeel?
I said that I totally agree with what you said for mouthfeel. I gave it a 5 out of 5.
I gave it a 3 out of 5.
So what were you? Maybe I got a little bit of alcohol. Carbonation was maybe a little low. Yeah, I was generous about the carbonation, But I tend to be generous
I thought
about
it was-
carbonation because it's tough to carbonate at a homebrew
The carbonation
level.
was low, and it had a bit of astringency to it. It had a little astringent bite from the hops that are kind of the rough bitterness in there.
I don't get astringency.
To me.
I don't get.
Okay.
I mean, I get like
Not
a
like
lot
an
of bitterness.
over sparged kind of astringency, but
It's got good.
bitterness is a flavor.
I agree with you. The bitterness is rough in my perception, but to me, it's oh my God, my mouth is going to fall apart type of thing issue, and it's not a mouthfeel issue.
Well, right,
That's
but
how I was always taught.
The guideline that you don't
Yeah.
want that in your IPA. Me, this has that.
And this
a
is
little
one
bit,
of the.
not a whole lot, but it's just hop derived.
I hear you. I hear you.
Biting your mouthfeel.
It's an example of how the guidelines for a second work. Document. There's always a few things that are unclear or a little, maybe inconsistent.
Right.
And we're always flavor goes in flavor. If it's astringent, it goes in mouthfeel. And then the guidelines say something about hop-derived astringency. It's like, guys, come on. So little, and it's impossible to write a freaking 60-page document and not have a few things like that.
The astringency is derived from the hops and not from oversparging of the malt sometimes. But also, then you look at the score sheet and like it calls for, commenting on the finish under flavor too. How dry does it finish? Well, that is dry a flavor.
But I don't know. I get that you're not trying to overscore your beer that you were a co-brewer of. So I get that you're kind of knocking a few points off, and I'm lifting. You're putting yourself down. I'm lifting you up.
Well, thank you. You landed at a what?
39.
Are you off your rocker, sir?
I'm insane, but is it? I've been doing this show for how long, and are you just now figuring this out?
Yeah, this is not a 39 beer. This is like a 36 beer.
Yeah,
okay. It's like grapefruit pithy.
JP splits the upright.
Yeah, I was probably a little generous with this.
Yeah, you were feeling good. Yeah.
Well, he wasn't. We usually kick their asses out of here when we're judging the beer, but.
I love this beer. This shit's hella good.
I'm not sure. Is that a thing that you would want to consume while you're drinking beer? I'm not
I have
sure
no
if that
idea.
would be a good idea.
I don't know, Brian.
But it's
don't take everything literally.
I know, but it's yes.
It's just theater for the mind.
It's the LSD that really makes you not drink, taste the beer,
there
right?
We go.
So no, I was a little generous, but I don't. I think it's better than a 32.
Well, thank you.
I think it's better than 32, also barely.
Yeah. Where do you think it is, Don? You're practically a beer judge.
Yeah.
Come on.
You're some guy.
And we should talk about the recipe a little bit too.
Sure.
Yeah, briefly though, because we honestly are running up against the break. So
we'll do this other stuff real quick.
Don, let's go.
I think yeah.
Someone poked on
34, 35.
Okay,
cool.
Let's call it 35 because it's closer to me, and then I feel vindicated. So let's say 35.
What malts and hops do we put in this bitch?
So
you just called Don a bitch?
No, I called the beer a bitch.
Oh, okay, there's no comma. Got it. All right.
Not in the air anyway.
No.
Maris Hutter, 11 pounds. This is a 7-pound batch.
7 gallon.
7 gallon. Thank you.
All good.
Batch. Flake Dose, 2.5 pounds. Vienna malt, 9 ounces. Crystal 40, 8 ounces.
I think we're up to the sugar.
Did we? Oh, maybe because that's your rating and not mine, so I can't read it.
We started with 12, and then we let's go 16 because our gravity was low and we wanted to up it or something.
Yep. And then Munich, 3 ounces.
Why Crystal 40?
Brian has to answer that. It was pretty much his recipe.
So give it some caramelly, classic IPA kind of caramelly flavors.
I definitely there's a little caramel in there, and that's maybe some of that upfront sweetness that I get, which is maybe out of proportion to the very small amount of the caramel malt you put in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I guess it kind of it harkens back to the classic IPA recipes that always had a little caramel malt in them, and
right.
I still use that. I feel weird using too much just Munich or just other malts. I don't know. I always like to have a little bit of crystal malt in my IPAs.
That's cool.
Gives it a nice color.
Yeah.
I'm just asking. I'm not judging. I'm just asking.
We're supposed to be judging. That's the point of the show, Brian.
Okay, I'll judge after you tell me why.
So hops. What do we got with hops there?
Hops, Magnum. Half an ounce Magnum, 60 minutes, 1.5 Citra 5. 1, what is that hop?
Equinox.
Thank you, Equinox. 5 minutes. 2 ounces of mosaic, 5 minutes. Then dry hops. 2 ounces Citra. 1 ounce of Equinox. Two of mosaic. And then we actually did a second dry hop because really the hop flavor or hop aroma wasn't coming out in the beer. So we did another ounce of Citra, ounce of mosaic, and 2.3 Galaxy.
Do you remember how did that Galaxy smell? Sometimes I like. I really liked. I had a beer that was all Galaxy at Cellar Maker in San Francisco, and it was amazing. And it was hazy and weird, but it was just like wow. And I liked the character of that, in the hazy. I thought, well, this would be good with our tropical IPA. Let's mix that in and just see what happens. It needs a little more zing to it. But it never quite got that zing we wanted. It was there, and it was good when it was fresh.
Yeah.
It was pretty good when it was fresh, but it's faded a little bit since,
Well, it was brewed
July
20th of last year.
Yeah.
So it's
kegged in August
kind of reaching its
yeah. It's still very drinkable.
Geriatric moment.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, well done,
I love
guys.
it.
I enjoyed it.
Was
Yeah,
it
for sure.
Chico Ale yeast, or what did we do there?
We got that yeast from a local brewery.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Shadow?
And I have no idea what the yeast was actually.
I think it was from Shadow
It
Puppet.
was from-
No, I
it
think it
was
might have
from
been
Shadow
the London. Was it the 1968?
Somehow it did not get written down.
Okay.
It could have been.
That'll happen,
beer we
boys.
had while we were
All
brewing.
right.
Yeah, were you drinking?
Maybe.
Yeah, that'll
There
happen.
might have been some drinking involved.
All right. Well, hey, thanks for sharing. Appreciate that
Thanks
very
for
much, you
having
guys.
us on the show. We'll
For
try
sure.
to brew better next time.
Please do. Please do. Now that Keith is gone, you need someone to mess up. Someone else to mess up now.
For sure.
Yeah. All right, we're going to take a fast break, everybody, and we'll be right back talking about score sheet judging, how to write them properly, because whatever you're doing is probably wrong. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
starts from 100, 99, 98, that's it, 97, 96, 95.
No.
All right, thanks for sticking with us, everybody. So if you're here still, if you haven't left yet, which I wouldn't blame you because, not everybody's into this deep of judging kind of things, but if you're still around, I'm assuming that you're interested in how to properly fill out a score sheet, or maybe even you just want to get some insight into how score sheets are filled out so you're not as angry as I used to be whenever I would get the score sheets back. No, I don't understand any of this. This wasn't even my beer. So here to help us with that is two people you may have never heard of, Brian Cooper and Brian Sharpe.
Hello.
Well, I'm putting on my Dave Techam hat right now because he's my judging mentor, and he helps me teach the beer judging 101 class that we do every year, and sometimes more than once a year.
And he's a super nice guy.
As a part of SF Beer Week, yes, super nice guy.
Yeah.
And so we did it at Bottle Taps this year. We had a really good, enthusiastic crowd at Bottle Taps in Pleasanton, and it was fun. Like they're always just chiming in with things. There's no wrong answer when you're in a beer judging class with Dave. Like you just call something out, like I taste baby diaper. I taste whatever. Like it's like and then maybe someone else is getting the same thing, and they were just like they had it on the tip of their brain, put those neurons together and get some people on the same wavelength in there. But we've brought up a lot of judges over the years in the Bay Area, and maybe some of them moved beyond and inspired others by now. But when I think about filling out a score sheet, the first thing I think about is doing it completely so that you're not leaving something important out. You're not going to not comment on the hops in the nose of a beer, even when it's a non-hoppy style, like a Vienna Lager. You're going to comment on what kind of hops are in there.
And if there's no hops, you're going to say no hops.
Yeah. And no is not a wrong answer.
No. Some styles you don't expect to have hop aroma in the aroma. They should be malt only.
That's right.
Right. So what, everybody can download the current version of the beer score sheet from the BJCP.
BJCP.org.
First you put your name. If you have a judge ID, you put that in there in your email. And your rank. There's a lot of different ranks that encompass a lot of things. You can be, rank pending. You just took the exam. You can
double secret master.
Beer. You can have non-BJCP qualifications, and cicerones can fill out score sheets, no problem, and they have different ranks of those now. You can have had sensory training, a lot of different things. So, you don't just have to be BJCP certified to fill one of these things out.
That's correct.
Down
the cops will not be called on you.
Of course not, no.
Well, mostly.
Down along the left side, they have descriptor definitions, mark all that apply. And this, a distinction that is made on the left side, it's acetaldehyde, alcoholic, astringent. You should check those, even if they're appropriate for the style and it's there. You should check those. It's like, okay, it's a sulfur-free beer. It's a lager that has it can have a bit of sulfur. Okay, yeah, it does have a little bit of that, and you can check that. And if you want to write light next to it, you can do something like that too, or whatever the level is, or heavy, or or it's only in the nose or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You know what, Brian? That list to me on the left is like a built-in cheat sheet for this, whether you're judging or taking the exam. Because you can kind of freak out a little bit and not know, oh my God, I'm smelling this thing, I'm tasting this thing, what is it? Yeah. And it's take a breath for 2 seconds. Yeah. Look at this list of descriptor definitions. And it's got pretty much, it hits the highlights of the major things, good and bad, you're going to taste in a beer. And just take a moment to look at it. I'm also the guy that always forgets to X the thing. Yeah. And I got to remember, take a moment, look at the list. Is anything that I wrote one of these things I need to check off? It's a nice list to have. It's really helpful to me, at least.
That is probably actually for me too, one of the biggest things that I forget to check off if I put sulfur in the aroma, and I don't check it over there automatically, and I should. And for good completeness, if you're taking the exam especially,
yes,
you want to check those boxes where something stands out in a beer. You should check it, whether if it's appropriate for the beer or not. And in the comments section, you can mark whether it's appropriate or not. Of course, you also kind of run out of time and space for words to write. Like, can I comment on whether the hop is appropriate and the malt is appropriate and the this and that and the esters and that? You can't do everything, so you have to kind of focus first on the big picture stuff, and always think how much and what kind. That's the biggest point on these things when you're commenting.
Excellent point. That's a great way to put that.
Under these headings. But first, of course, you write the category and subcategory. If there's an entry number you're judging a competition, you write that out, spell out the subcategory, and any special ingredients that are declared.
I don't want to dwell on that, but I really love how you put that how much and what kind is like 5 words that you can remember. And those are such key things to remember writing a score sheet.
It's the guiding light. It's like 9/10 of the way to getting, like, if you do that well, you'll be writing a good score sheets and getting a good score on the exam if you choose to take it.
I think you're getting a gold star from the AMA for that little thing right there.
Yeah.
So the first thing you do is you inspect the bottle. You're going down the right side now of the, fill in the category, etc. Inspect the bottle. Make, is there any scuzz on there? Is there something in the bottom? Does it look bottle condition? You can shine a flashlight through it if you want. Look at the bottom of the bottle. See what's there. How high is the fill? Is it like, a quarter of an inch from the top, or is it like, 2 inches hanging down low? Or is it just right? Like 3/4 of an inch or above. Hey, note that and give some forgiveness. You can have a bad fill, and you can't just automatically assume beer's going to be tasting horrible. You can have a super overfilled beer like right up to the top, and it could be just fine. You never know.
Right. And the bottle fill doesn't count for points at all. But the interesting thing about bottle fill, and for those of you that like to enter competitions, thing to keep in mind, one of the things that experienced judges will look at is there's kind of a standard level of fill. If it's all the way up to the top, people will note, oh, this person really made sure that he or she got that beer right up to the cap.
Mm-hmm.
If it's way low, you'll look, okay, it's way low. Either way, it's probably okay. The thing that you're going to look for and be very wary of is the ring around the liquid.
Yeah.
And the ring around the bottleneck is usually a symptom of infection. And a ring around the bottle often means I'm going to stand back and put this in a bucket and try to open this very carefully because this might explode.
You could have a gusher on your hands. Yeah.
So it's the bottle fill. It doesn't count for any points, but it's very, from a presentation standpoint, it really sets the stage for what an experienced judge expects from that beer.
Right. Yeah. And anything unusual about the bottle? The bottle it's a crown cap bottle, but they put a cork in it, or it's like this passed the inspection somehow, or whatever. Random, you see really random weird stuff, like embossed lettering on the bottle that's not supposed to be in a competition,
or a bottle cap that's like weird color or something. And technically, these things are disqualifiable offenses. I am not sure I've ever seen anybody get DQ'd in a comp in 15 plus years of judging, but you're running a risk, and it's kind of a, if you just happen to have weird ass, U.S. flag bottle caps, and that's all you got, just better to use them than not enter. But if that's a thing, like everyone in your area knows, Brian always puts these caps on, that's kind of a dick thing to do.
I remember being paranoid when I first entered competitions too, and I was like, oh man. I like the oxy caps, to make sure I'm removing oxygen from the headspace, etc. And they all say oxy cap on the side. Isn't that printed lettering? And then there's nothing specific in these rules. And the first time I entered a competition, I was like, is this okay? And I asked the competition organizer, yeah, that's fine. And then when I organized a competition, I made sure to write all that stuff in, pre-printed beer caps with such as oxy cap on the side are acceptable.
Yeah, the thing with the oxy cap is more like the Air Bud rules, so that's more okay.
Yeah. Anyway, we digress.
Yes. No, this is all part of the discussion we're having. Actually, it's not a digression.
That's right.
It's important, and if you do ever have a question about if you're judging a competition, it's important to make sure that somebody's not cheating and their buddy's sitting at the table with you and rating it a 40 and it's actually a 25-point beer, and you should ask the organizer, is this cap okay like this? Like somebody put a really distinct cap on here, is this acceptable?
Yeah,
but just regular colors are fine. Blue, gold, silver, black, whatever. And if you have a cap with some writing on it, you can always black it out as an entrant. You can always just black it out with magic marker, and usually it's indiscernible.
Exactly.
So getting into aroma, you hear us comment all the time we comment on the malt, we comment on the hops, comment on the esters, and other aromatics. And this is just, it's written right there for you. For the malt, you want to say what kind and how much. For the hops, you want to say what kind and how much. And not just the main thing that's sticking out. Oh, it's a citrusy hop at a high level. Well, what's behind that citrus? Is there a dankness, a resininess, a pininess?
And what kind of citrus?
And,
is it orange? Is it lemon?
Specifics.
Is it lime? You know, can you identify that? And you mentioned, my friend Kevin Pratt, and I'm sure you know Kevin.
Oh, yeah.
And Kevin told me 10 plus years ago, and it was extremely helpful. Kevin's an amazing judge, grandmaster, whatever at this point. And he had said, look, they tell you right on the score sheet. Here's the thing: describe, comment on malt, hops, esters, and other aromatics. Well, it's right there in front of you. Comment on malt, hops, and esters. Whether are they there? At what level? What do you smell? And that was, believe it or not, that was actually really helpful to me when I was just a newbie judge, because I wasn't really sure about any of this stuff. And when he was like, dude, it's right there on the sheet. It's telling you what they're asking for.
Just read the sheet. Yeah.
That was really good to know.
And that was some of the best advice. He gave me the exact same advice, too.
Yeah.
I said, Kevin, and he helped teach some of our earlier beer judging classes in the Madzheimergists. And I'm like, well, what's the difference? I'd taken the exam and I scored, fair to middling. I got past it, got it, okay. But I'm like, what's the difference? I'm going to retake the judging exam, and what do I need to do to get a 90 as opposed to a 75? And he's like, well, look at make sure you're commenting on everything, do it completely, and other aromatics. Look at every section. There's other aromatics in the appearance. Don't forget to comment on the texture of the head. All these details are listed there for you. Other flavor characteristics under flavor, and other palate sensations. That's kind of a hard one, but there are some. Sometimes you can have some pain from beer. So there's certain qualities that you can get.
Hopefully, you shouldn't have much pain unless you drop like a 6-pack on your foot.
A chili beer or something, for example. It's
exactly.
Like
that can be a little painful.
You get a pain sensation. It's not always but or slickness from diacetyl, for example. Things like that. So, and that opened my eyes, and I was able to write a more complete score sheet at that point.
Exactly.
After a lot of practice. So, yeah, appearance-wise, I guess did we cover aroma, malt, hops, esters, other aromatics? Don't forget esters. That's an easy one to forget, because are they light, medium, high? Are they kind of general fruity esters, or is there a specific kind of fruit that's coming out? And do they seem to be yeast derived, or are they something that's coming out from a malt, like you have a double and you're getting a big cherry or a big, some fruity raisiny richness in there? It's like, well, that seems to be a malt derived raisiny ester in there. That's a great comment. At a medium level, be specific and list the things that jump out first, and then the subtle undertones as well. And for other under aroma characteristics, what Pratt told me was just no DMS or diacetyl if it doesn't have that, or acetaldehyde.
Like the big 2 or 3 off aromas, are they there? Write about it. If they're not, say no DMS, no diacetyl, no off aromas.
Yeah. And don't forget alcohol. Don't just read this. Okay, I comment on malt, hops, esters. Well, you're drinking a big boozy barley wine. Are you going to comment on the alcohol? Yeah, You're going to comment on that, because it's not going to be complete if you don't.
Yeah. Well, and when I took the test and did the classes with Dave Teckham, one of the things that helped me out was you comment on it to style. Don't forget, you're not sitting there picking flaws. You're comparing this to the written document of the styles.
Yeah.
So if something is there, that's fine to note it, but is it to style or not?
Yeah.
That's what the brewer's looking for, right?
Yeah,
exactly. Is this grapefruit pith to style or not? Well, not in a porter. So if you taste it, then put grapefruit pithy, not to style, because that's really the feedback that homebrewers are looking for.
Right on.
Right. Yeah, and you don't want to be just a fault finder, because that's not a fun score sheet to read.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh well, it's fine.
And
for
this
the
is
most
bad,
part,
and this is bad, and this is bad too, and I don't like this.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, if it is really bad, then it should be a 13-point beer, and it's okay. Sorry, you missed everything, and it's not to style, and it's got all these defects. But you should, if there are defects there, you should note the levels of it: light, diacetyl, or etc.
Where are we at right now?
So and also don't forget to write clearly and legibly, because you're not writing it for yourself. You're writing it for someone that's going to take it home and read it, and hopefully try to brew the beer better the next time. And I feel the quality of homebrew has improved so much over the years as we get As you judge competitions, you taste beers that are like right on par and better sometimes than the stuff you get commercially, and that's great.
Oh man, I haven't judged a beer as a 13 for probably 7 or 8 years, and that was not unusual in 03, 04, 05 to have more than one 13-point beer in a competition or in the first round of
somebody
a
was
big
honestly
comp.
trying to figure out what they did wrong, and you
Yeah.
can help them. But yeah, it's a lot rarer now, and you're splitting hairs, and like, so this is a 35, this one's a 39, or a,
Right.
40
Yeah.
something. Then you still get the 20s and sometimes the teens, but it's less and less. People
Exactly.
There's a lot of good information out
Yeah.
there.
What? Where are we at right now, Brian?
Appearance. Don't forget to comment on the color and be specific. Is it orange?
Fuck, we're still on appearance. We
Yeah.
got 10 minutes left in the show.
Okay.
We'll move faster.
Hold on. Let me. That's what I'm trying to ask you. Let me take a break real fast because we still have to do one more break, and then we'll come back and let's try to mosey
let's
on
do
through
that.
the
Yeah.
complete. All right. So hang on, everybody. We'll be right back.
Please report to the ER for code blue. Dr. Homebrew to the ER, please. No, NUT time has been moved to 2:30.
All right, everybody. Thanks for sticking around. We're going to wrap up this BJCP score sheet. BJCP? Yeah, that's what I said.
JCP. For me, sometimes it's a hard thing to say.
Well, I
BJCP.
apparently I said it correctly, but I didn't think I did in my head.
You say it fast. It's like a tongue twister. BJCP. Okay.
All right,
So we were on appearance.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go through this really logically and clearly and quickly because it's really not that hard. Just follow the cues. It tells you to comment on the color. Is it, what specific color is it, and are there any like highlights behind it? Is it like an orangey amber, or is it a reddish amber, or is it a etc. The clarity, is it lightly hazy or murky? Can't see it. For a dark beer, you want to look at the corners and see if you can even see through the corners, because it can be clear but almost opaque because of the darkness. The head, you want to make sure you comment on the retention, which is how long it lasts. The color of that head, which is different from the beer. Sometimes you have a dark beer with a really light colored head, and just what's there. Is it cream colored, beige, white, eggshell, tan, dark tan? And the texture of the head, there's like creamy, mousse-like, frothy, large, small bubbles. It's easy to talk about head texture because there's so many different variations of that. And, hoppy beers will be different from malty beers sometimes, and just the way the head forms, and beers with a lot of protein will be thick and creamy, and depending on the size of the protein chains, there's all kinds of different variations you can comment on.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think appearance, I find it hard to think about what to write for this sometimes, and all the things Brian was talking about are helpful. I like to think there's 3 lines, there's 3 things you're talking about, try to fill up essentially 1 line for each one. And when it comes to head, persistence and size, it doesn't mean it has to be an inch thick for half an hour. Persistence means you have some bubbles even on the edge for 10, 15 minutes. So that's a topic for another day.
It doesn't just go to a flat top.
In terms of what we're doing right now for writing a score sheet, 3 lines, 3 things, there's enough details, you can write them down.
Exactly.
And score-wise, I tend to give 1 point for color, 1 for clarity, and 1 for head. If one is off,
pretty much everyone
I'll take
does
away
that,
a point. So
I think
that's a good rule of thumb there.
And I realized, I think I sounded like I was shitting on you with that, but I didn't mean that at all.
Yeah. And flavor-wise, you want to comment on the malt. There's malt in every beer. There's hops in every beer. You want to comment on the hops. And what, the fermentation, was it an Ale or a lager? Is it expected to be, or is it a hybrid? What is it? What is the beer? And, did they do that fermentation properly? Or are there weird characters sticking out that are related to the fermentation? A super estery beer, or, something, diacetyl that came out in the fermentation. balance, usually talking about malt versus hops, but it can also be, if it's a beer that's very yeast influenced, it could be the yeast to something else. So don't just think about it as malt versus hops, but other things can come into play too and affect the overall balance. Make a little comment about the balance of the beer. The finish is always just how dry or sweet it is in the very end. How does it dry off your tongue or stick around with sweetness? And then,
and I have maybe a little different perspective. I totally agree with you, but also like how long is it?
How long is it? Yeah.
Like when you take a sip, does it fall off a cliff and it's like you never drank it, or does it last for like a minute afterwards? And that's part of that length, and how balanced is that in the length?
And when I'm grading score sheets in in an exam set, a lot of people will confuse aftertaste with finish, but they're two completely different things. Aftertaste is flavors that linger into the aftertaste. What's sticking around the longest? And sometimes it's like, oh, okay, I get this big maltiness up front, but then this hop lingers in the aftertaste somehow, or whatever, whatever flavor it is.
Mm-hmm. And then, whatever you call it, write about it.
Yeah. And then it calls out other flavors, other flavor characteristics. One, don't ever forget to comment about the bitterness. That is a component of most beers that, there are very few beers that don't have any bitterness. And, comment on that. And then other can also be, is there DMS, diacetyl, etc. So esters, phenolics, those kind of tie in with fermentation characteristics as well. So, but, there's a lot of others you can do. Soy sauce, whatever. So going on to, flavor, you just be creative and describe what you're getting first, and then subtle undertones next, and, always how much and what kind. Then getting into, and don't make any assumptions. Don't call out specific ingredients if you can avoid it. Like,
don't assume anyone's mashed versus using extract. Yeah, never assume anything.
That's a big thing. Mouthfeel, this one's pretty easy. It's all right there for you. Comment on the body. Is it full bodied? Is it light bodied? Is it watery or syrupy? Basically, think of it as, the spectrum between molasses and pure water. Or alcohol, which is actually lighter than water. Carbonation, is it high, medium, low, medium, high, etc. Warmth is from alcohol. You feel a warmth going down your throat as you drink a really thick 10% beer.
Yeah,
it goes down your throat and you feel that warmth. Your mouthfeel is maybe the hardest concept to understand. It's not easy, but it's not anything to do with flavor. It's not anything to do with aroma. It's just, how does the beer feel in your mouth?
Yeah.
Is it creamy and silky like a good oatmeal stout should be? Is it astringent and biting like that hop astringency we were talking about? It's like, but usually astringency comes from oversparging, and then you get to the overall impression where you tell them how to fix that. And other is a thing. You can say it's smooth and silky, or is it biting? Does it have a carbonic bite to it? Sometimes you get a light lager. A bite, carbonic quality. CO2 is an acid. It actually stings your tongue a little bit, and we get a really super carbonated beer. Beer can be crisp, like a nice, a Pils or a good a Kolsch. It can be slick if there's diacetyl present. So there's a lot of different others you can comment on. Sometimes they're not there, and you just kind of go through it and get through it there. But we were listening to the show on the way up, and Warren actually said this beer he was talking about Rich's Vienna Lager. He said, nice carbonation. Well, that doesn't tell me much.
No, nice is
the David Teckham is coming on me now.
Nice is not a descriptor. Nice. It's high, low, medium, none.
How
whatever.
Much?
Nice does not convey any information.
And is it to style?
Right, and yeah. And you should always just comment, is it?
Yeah, well, that's why Warren sucks.
This is a highly carbonated beer.
We've established that.
Okay, we're drinking a mild. Is it supposed to be highly carbonated? No, you should say that.
Well, mouthfeel to me is one of the hardest things to write about. I think, just like what you were saying, this is a place in the score sheet where I think it's important to use the no, low, medium, high, right, in terms of these things. But there's a whole universe between creaminess and astringency. Right, because like an IPA is not an oatmeal stout. It's not creamy, but it's not astringent either. So think about words like it's perky, it's prickly, it's whatever. Read if you're taking the exam or you're serious about getting better, taking the exam or judging, read Zymergy. Every month they have the commercial calibration. You've got 4
Those are some
grandmaster
actual good judges. Yeah.
Yeah, you got as opposed to us guys. You have 4 grandmaster plus X double secret grandmaster folks, Gordon and 3 other people, and they are. It's really kind of invaluable, especially if you're trying to write the exam as you're advancing in ranks, or if you want to get better just judging. Things that you have a problem with, for me, it was mouthfeel. It was helpful to me to go back and look at what are these people writing about mouthfeel and how are they writing it. It would help me think about it when I was judging. Otherwise, carbonation low, it's not creamy, it's not astringent. But yeah, the thing that's... I was saying earlier, do what the score sheet says. This is the one place where I think it kind of leaves out, a lot of beers aren't creamy, but that's fine for their style. A lot of beers, they should be perky or whatever, but just write about it. Write about whatever it is. And that's in general, not just mouthfeel, but whatever you taste. Whatever the person sitting across the table from you says or whatever, if you taste it or you perceive it, write it down.
It's not wrong to you.
It's not wrong.
It's not wrong.
Exactly.
And that's actually how you get confidence to advance.
So I think part of the point of that is you don't want to be too robotic in writing your score sheets. I comment on this. The
carbonation is low,
and
the
reading
warmth is not present. Yes.
Reading those score sheets in Zymergy is kind of it's an exercise in efficiency and writing with fewer words the essence of that beer. Like they're calling out things that are, this is important to this beer, this should be here but it's not, or this is not here but it actually still works somehow, or and they'll comment on things that are important to that beer,
right,
and talk about why it works. And then that's where we get to the overall impression / suggestions for improvement. And don't ever forget suggestions for improvement, because that's overall impression is okay, the pleasure of drinking this beer. It's kind of a big picture description. This is also where you can get some kind of wiggle room. It's it has all the marks, but there's something just kind of missing, or it's, you have a little leeway where overall impression is this beer hit all the marks, but somehow it's just not quite there for me. There's something missing, and you might not be thinking of it, but what really stands out in the beer, and what is its strength, and what is its weakness, and how good of an example is it to the declared style. Try to give some compliment. You usually want to be giving some kind of compliment, being positive about the beer, even if it's followed by some mention of the deficiencies and how to fix them. So a lot of people are entering them. They might not know the deficiencies are there. Some people can't taste diacetyl. They don't know what it tastes like. It's, but if it's there, you call it out, you tell them how to fix it. And then maybe they'll be more careful about their diacetyl rests the next time. But yeah, what did you like in the beer? What did you think needed improvement? If it's not a 50-point beer, you need to give some feedback as well to tell them how to improve it. It's a 49. Well, how do you get to that 50? I don't know. Add a little bit more of this, a little bit more of that. If you get a really defective beer, your feedback's going to be a lot longer. You're going to be talking about a lot of different things that went into making that beer and how to fix each of those things. And you can even write on the back of the score sheet if you want to draw a little arrow.
I do that all the time. It's the Roger St. Denis thing, and I will write on the back all the time. And you know what, Brian, and not to I was jumping for just a second. Don't be afraid to score a beer over 40 if you believe it's over 40.
Or over 45.
Over 45. If it is, there's kind of those soft limits of 17 at the lower end and 45 at the higher end that judges kind of acquire.
If it's outstanding, if it's world-class beer, this is the best Meritzen I've ever had.
And you know how I got to be a master-level judge and higher was just to be fuck it, this is what I taste. And I don't care if anybody. I don't care if, because sometimes when you're starting off, you're I don't want to give this beer a 44, because what if other judges laugh at me and they scored at 20 and I'm not getting something.
I've been there.
And when you have that confidence to be fuck it, this is what I taste. This is good. This beer, I think this is a 44. It can be scary when you're younger or newer or starting off to score a beer really high.
Yeah, for sure.
Don't be afraid.
Don't be afraid.
Just write what you taste.
So then you just total the scores, total your scores, check your math. If you totaled above 50, you've added your math wrong.
Then give this beer a 64.
The take home is to definitely use specific descriptors. Really, don't be vague. Don't say, well, maybe some diacetyl, or don't guess what's there. Just tell them what you perceive and at what level it is. And for God's sake, don't leave any blank space. I have a hard time not writing in the extra lines under the blanks and into the next section and in the margins, because there's always something to comment on. There's so much you can say about any beer that you taste. And if you can't, I'll help you get there. We can help educate you, and we help educate judges here locally.
You appear to have sparged through microwave popcorn.
Another error is kind of don't give ranges. It's not going to be low to no hop aroma or medium to high carbonation. It's either medium high or maybe medium high if you want to get specific.
Oh, damn.
Whatever.
Don't ever write medium high.
I'm not sure what medium high means, and I'm
there was a beer tonight where I said it was like medium bodied plus. It was like a little more than medium bodied. It wasn't medium high. I can be that specific. It's not that hard to do. But just don't give ranges. Say very low or medium high or wherever it's at. And then you get to the bottom. There's the check boxes for classic example versus not to style on the stylistic accuracy. Technical merit is flawless or significant flaws, and there's 5 boxes for that. And then intangibles is another kind of where is it? Kind of subjective stuff. Like, is it wonderful or lifeless? It can be perfectly flawless, but still somehow just a little meh.
Or it can be flawed, but you love it. In which case, hey, it's like, that's what that thing is for.
I love popcorn beer.
Exactly.
But yeah, if it's, just check the box. If check a box there always and find where it's at, and then check the boxes on the left if you've commented on those things. But really, that's about it.
I love it.
Just kind of look at everything that's there. Everything that you need to put on there is requested on the sheet. But also try to use good wording and try to be descriptive when you talk about your beers. The beer judge exam is graded on your perception of the beer versus the proctors that judge it with you, and how well you did that, how well you described the beer. It's perception, descriptive ability. Your scoring accuracy.
And those aren't two separate dimensions. Your ability to describe against your ability to perceive what other experienced judges are perceiving.
Right. And your feedback and your completeness. So
yes.
I've kind of covered completeness. Like, that's something that I'd like to focus on.
You covered completeness, Brian?
Yeah, I think we should.
We're done. JP's getting tired.
Oh, I'm falling asleep. There's a lot in here that we could focus on in certain sections and take 15 minutes specifically on, like, mouthfeel.
Oh,
we could drink a beer and talk about it.
So we could do about this.
So we'll do more of these kind of series in the future, but for this one, we sort of wanted to, and I say we, do a general overview about what these sections are and how to address it, properly.
And parse what you're getting back from the competition, yeah.
All right, I think it's time to go, everybody. I'm tired, you're tired, we're all tired together.
I'm okay.
Brian's MDA is kicking in. Indiana. I don't know why I pick on that, but yeah.
Send us beer, Brian at thebrewingnetwork.com. Give me an email.
Do it. All right, everybody. Thanks a lot for tuning in, and we'll see you.